No Notion, no Asana, no fancy schmancy project management software that's way too complicated, just Google Docs. The very same thing that maybe you write your grocery list on is the very backbone of our $5 million a year business. I'm going to kind of break down what exactly that means inside of this video, but there's three really important factors here. Number one, I want to talk about the fastest way to get your online program off the ground and real paying clients in the door so you can make an impact on them as efficiently as possible. The concept of simplicity scaling a lot faster than complexity ever will, and how you can actually build your own online education business using free tools that can grow and scale with you. So let's begin. Before I dig into the details, I did just want to say, if you are serious about turning what you know into an offer that people actually really want and turning it into a real business, be sure to comment business plan below this video and we'll send you the link to access our Knowledge Bank business plan on demand. Okay, so let's talk about how Google Docs could possibly be behind our business and actually, in fact, behind a lot of our clients' businesses as well. Well, I want to kind of go backwards and say that I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. I've run my business for well over a decade, and I've been an entrepreneur myself for over 20 years now. And I will tell you that every single time that I try to get too fancy or too complicated, it always works against me. So when I actually started creating online programs, I would build out these really fancy, really beautiful slide decks. And as much as they looked amazing, in practicality and in use and in the reality of growing an online education business, it is so painful when you have to make little adjustments, little edits, which is inevitable, or when you need to do an upgrade of your program or the content inside of your program to go in and edit slides. It takes way too long. And my number one rule is the client impact has to come first. And what that means is if I'm creating inefficiencies or any level of friction in getting them the best possible content to allow them to achieve the outcome that they're after and achieve the transformation that they're after, then I am not doing my job. So if I have to sit there and spend hours editing images and these slide decks to make them look pretty, and it's just a harder process, then it doesn't make any sense. So eventually I thought to myself, okay, well, what would be the most effective way to do this and the easiest way to do this? And it came down to Google Docs. So we've been running our programs off of Google Docs for a very long time now. And I will tell you, we have done multiple little band-aid solutions, little fixes, little tweaks, which is inevitable when you have an online curriculum. We've also done full facelifts of our program, which means that we redid the whole thing. And it is exponentially easier when it's done in Google Docs because you are not sitting there editing images. You're not editing format. It's very sort of plug and play. And it makes it easier for you to take the information, reorganize it, restructure it in a really efficient manner, meaning that we can get that new program or that facelift or that edit out to our clients as quickly as possible. People often overcomplicate online programs and they overcomplicate what they need to look like. At the end of the day, nobody cares how fancy things look. What they care about is the value of what you're providing, period. I've seen some absolutely awful looking YouTube videos get the most incredible response because the person who's delivering the information is an actual expert, knows what they're talking about. So when you're in the game of making an impact on people and transforming people's lives, it is less about production value. It is more about the value of how much you can actually make an impact through what you're sharing. Of course, good lighting and good audio makes a big difference, but just remember, you are not here to be Steven Spielberg. You are not even here to be Mr. Beast. You are here to share the information that's going to help impact the people who need it most. Period. And I think if you always work backward from that sort of end goal and North Star of making the deepest impact on the people who need it the most, then you always want to make sure that you're simplifying things to be sure that you're able to deliver on that. And one of those ways that we do that is by using Google Docs to create our curriculum documents and to create the content inside of our programs, because it's the most efficient, fastest way to get it into their hands. And I don't want to be sitting here perfecting an image that they're not going to care about and holding them back from the information that they need in order to achieve the transformation that they're here for. And the biggest problem with overcomplicating systems in your business of any kind is that it inevitably creates friction. So even internally inside of our team, Google Docs really run our life. So obviously we have other, softwares that we use to do project management, but in the beginning, especially as a small, teeny tiny little team, none of those were really necessary because we use Google Docs, Google Sheets to document everything. And that is a perfect way to start. Google Docs really is where we store pretty much everything. It's where we store all of our concepts for our YouTube videos. It's where we store our backup files. And then of course I have backups on backups because I'm a neurotic person and I have had issues in the past where things just disappear. So my recommendation to you is this, just in terms of building the systems in your business and even the curriculum for your program, every single time I document anything in Google Docs, I then back it up on an external hard drive and onto a cloud drive as well. And really quick, don't forget to comment business plan below this video to get access to our Knowledge Bank business plan, which walks you step by step through turning your knowledge into an actual scalable offer. Comment business plan, we'll send you a link to access it on demand. Okay, so how do you actually use Google Docs to create curriculum? Well, first and foremost, I think it's important to understand that when you're actually starting to build an online program, which is what our business does, we have a core online program and we teach people how to turn their knowledge, their expertise into a scalable asset, into something that can create an impact and an income without their constant involvement. So how we do that and how we teach our clients to create these programs is it all starts with what we call your prototype. So the prototype concept means that you actually attract buyers. Once you understand the transformation you're creating with your program, you attract buyers for your program, and it's your first cohort of really testers for your program. And then every week over 6 to 8 weeks, you deliver your curriculum in a live setting and you build it each week so that you can take the feedback from the week before and adjust your game plan, because what you think people need and how you think they need to be delivered to is often dead wrong. That's the biggest feedback we get from people who use the POP process. They go, thank goodness I did it this way, because I thought I would need to have 6 lessons up front on X topic, and I realized those were unnecessary and they would have led to such bad client results and people would have been so frustrated with the process. So it is vital for so many reasons. And to create it, like I said, all you need to do is build out your curriculum in a Google Doc each week. And I'm going to show you actually how you create those Google Docs in just a second. So that allows you to then validate your offer. You get real paying clients in the door with your first cohort. I have so many other videos on this topic, so I will direct you to those as well. But just want to explain that it takes these 3 simple tools of Google Docs, Zoom, and a payment processor to get your program off the ground and get paying clients in the door efficiently. Of course, you do need to know what the transformation is that you're delivering on, because then the curriculum and the live delivery each week bridges the gap between where they are now, your ideal clients, and ultimately where they want to be. And that creates that transformative online program that then once you prove it and you test it in a real world environment, you can then package it into this pre-recorded program that is proven through feedback. And it is the best possible version because you have test run it live with real human beings. And that allows you to create the best possible version of it, which builds a really great offer, which makes your marketing easier. It makes sales easier because you actually have something that works. No marketing and no amount of sales strategy can fix an offer that is bad. So this whole process allows you to generate confidence in your offer. It allows you to get client results right off the bat, so you're not waiting years to prove that it works and validate it. It also helps you generate cash flow. And that allows you to then reinvest into your business and also give you security in terms of a security blanket in your business to not have to rush to the next thing and give you the time to actually turn it into a pre-recorded program. The most important thing here is that you have to think like a scientist, not a perfectionist. And I know that's hard to do, especially when we have these big grandiose plans for our business, but those big grandiose plans and the perfectionism is really just a pretty way to procrastinate. And it keeps you very safe in your little bubble of not actually having to get your offer into the real world. And I know this because I've lived it and I have helped thousands of people to date launch their online programs. And the biggest thing getting in your way is you. It is your thought process around this needs to be perfect before I launch it. That is so not true. And there is no perfect. There truly never is a perfect version of it. You just keep optimizing over time. That is the nature of business. It is continuing to optimize and make your offer better and better and better and get to know your ideal client better and better and better over time. So getting your program off the ground and getting people in the door as efficiently as possible using these very simple tools is the key to actually building something that can stand the test of time. And that's why simplicity scales a lot better than complexity ever will. Complexity creates so much chaos. And think about it this way. So once you prove your offer and you deliver it in a live setting, then you actually have to take the feedback from people. And you're going to be taking that week over week. But then overall, at the end of it, you're going to do these exit interviews. You're going to really understand what worked, what didn't, what you need to change in the curriculum. And then you're going to use that to create your pre-recorded version of your program. And that really is the basis of building a business that can run and grow and create an income and impact without your involvement because you're no longer teaching it live. Having said that, you have to take that feedback and then adjust and make tweaks to your curriculum, which if it's in Google Docs, it is so much easier, as I mentioned earlier. That's why it can help you kind of reduce the friction, keep things simple, make those adjustments in a very fast manner. And that allows you then get your pre-recorded program out the door in a much more efficient way than you would if you were using like fancy recordings and fancy studios and all of these things that people think they need and are so unnecessary. Perfect example of this is one of our clients, Monica. She launched a program on how to dance. And this program sold $1,200 worth of sales in the first 12 months. And then she joined our program, created a clear transformation for people, which is helping adults learn how to dance in social settings. That program has gone on to generate over $1 million. And it is so much simpler than what she created in the first place. With that program that barely made anything for her, she had hired professional videographers and a crew and dancers and all these things. And it looked beautiful, but it wasn't converting because it wasn't transformational. That's where I want to bring it back to. It is more about the value of what you provide inside of your program than it is the production value. And it's about the efficiency of making the impact on your clients. So when you need to make adjustments, make them in a way that's the easiest possible path, which is using something like Google Docs. And then when you have your business packaged into this evergreen program, so it's this pre-recorded program that includes your curriculum that takes people from 0 to hero and transforms them, gives them the outcome that they're seeking. Then you have a business that's built around what we call the 3 C's. So you have your curriculum, pre-recorded, pre-packaged. Anybody can study it at any time, meaning that you can serve people all over the world without you needing to be there live. You also have coaching. So you would set up weekly coaching calls that are done in a group setting, which is really great because that accelerates learning and accelerates growth, because sometimes people have questions that they don't even know they have until somebody else asks it. We witness this all the time. It's an accelerated learning environment. And then from there, you have your community, which is really the heartbeat of this kind of a business. The community is where people can cheer each other on, mentor each other, ask questions, share challenges, and not feel alone in the journey, which is one of the hardest parts of growing a business like this. And then what that does is when you have that packaged in that way, you create really the flywheel that will run your business and generate new leads and new sales on autopilot. And that means you have a program, you have enrollment, so people are going to enroll into it through the sales process. They get the transformation that they're seeking from your program. Those people get incredible results from that transformation, and then they want to tell everybody that they know. So naturally that creates people who are going to refer your program, and that takes the pressure off of you to market super hard, because ultimately you have these people that are saying you're the best at what you do, you're the authority on the topic, and that just allows you to sort of bring in these incredible clients and leads because there's so much trust built there. And that is built off of having a really great offer. At the end of the day, that is the main part of running a business like this. If the offer doesn't work, it doesn't achieve a transformation, then it just simply can't scale and grow. But at the core root of it, that transformation comes from it being laid out in a way that's very easily digestible. And ultimately that comes from laying it out in the way that I'm talking about today. I know that sounds so weird and way too simple, but oftentimes people say that about most things that we teach, but it works because we've been doing it for so long and we have so many client results to prove that simplicity scales. And that brings me perfectly into laying out exactly how you do build curriculum documents, which is going to be shockingly simple for you. So let's dive in. So how do you actually create curriculum inside of Google Docs? Well, first and foremost, remember that people are not paying for perfection here. So it doesn't need to be super fancy. And most importantly, your curriculum is the bridge and the means to the end of actually achieving the transformation of your program. So if you don't have that clear, none of this matters. So again, just a reminder, comment business plan below this video and we'll send you the link to our guide, which includes a tool that will help you identify your clear transformation based off of the knowledge that you have. So comment business plan, we'll send you the link to access it on demand. Okay, so how you actually create these, pretty simple. There needs to be a header at the top that either can be the name of your program or your company logo, whatever it may be. If you don't have one, don't worry about it, but it just makes it all streamlined across the board if you do have that there. And then a footer, which has your, obviously like your legal requirements there as well. And then title is usually in a bigger font just to really like reiterate what they're there for and they know what the lesson is about. And then each lesson should really follow a general format. So like we said, we have the header and the footer. We have the lesson title, as I showed you up here. And then we have the main content. So for the main content, you want to use short paragraphs, bullets, and bolded headlines to make it really easy to consume and skimmable. And you want to focus on the most essential information to help your client take action. The biggest thing with creating a really solid curriculum that gets people the transformation they're looking for is that you remove all fluff and filler. People are not paying for the amount of time that they have to take going through your program. They're actually paying for efficiency in going through your program. So no fluff, no filler, just the essential information, and avoid over explaining. Again, same with everything we've talked about here. Clarity is more important than complexity, also inside of your lessons and in how you explain things. And that is probably the hardest part of creating a really good curriculum, is avoiding going into the space of being the expert and having the curse of the expert, knowing everything. You have to kind of narrow the focus down to only what the client needs to know to achieve the outcome that they're seeking. And then the final piece of your curriculum inside of this sort of template you're going to go off of is just action steps. So great, they've now learned what they need to learn in this lesson. What are the action steps that they need to take to gain that momentum towards achieving the hero outcome of their transformation? And that's the template you need to set up. From there, you then go ahead and record these lessons. Generally, we use a screencaster like ScreenFlow. You can even use Loom as another option, or Camtasia if you're on a PC. And from there, you then upload the lessons into your course hosting platform, which is why I say the course hosting platform doesn't really make a difference. They all operate in a very similar way. What matters most is that you have good content and good curriculum inside of the platform that your clients can digest and achieve the outcome that they're looking for. So this may have surprised you and it may have, created some light bulbs, which I hope that it does. I can't harp on enough that simplicity is really the key to long-term success. So whenever you feel like something is overcomplicated or you have systems in your business that are just creating way more headache than they're worth, try to think about how you can scale back and just simplify using the tools that are available to us. We live in a world, in a day and age, where there is so much available to us to make things more efficient. And this is just one of those tools that we use in our business. So here's what I want you to take away from this video. The most successful businesses are built on clarity, not complexity. So when you know who you serve and how you want to impact them with the transformation that you provide in your program, ultimately the tech stack doesn't matter. The platform you upload your curriculum to doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters if the offer isn't good, and that the core of your offer, it is the curriculum that takes your client from zero to hero. And ultimately what matters most is that you just start. And you start imperfectly and you get it out into the world so you can have real people test it and give you feedback to make it stronger. Feedback is not failure. Feedback is actually what helps you get stronger. So at the end of the day, doesn't need to be complicated, doesn't need to be fancy, doesn't need to be pretty. And I know that may be a little bit annoying for you to hear, but we've now worked with thousands of people to date over the last 10 years in creating these kinds of programs. And I can tell you this is really at the core of doing it in a way that's the most effective for the person that you're trying to serve. So just start simple. And if you really want to get started on this, be sure to comment business plan below and get access to our Knowledge Bank business plan, which is going to walk you step by step through the process of bringing this all together to create truly a long-term, long-lasting business. So comment business plan below. We'll send you the link to access it on demand. And in the theme of efficiency, which truly is a love language for me, be sure to watch this video next on how I'd make $100,000 a week working only 5 hours a day. Be sure to check that out. Let me know what your light bulbs were below this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.